Good evening, rockers. Vegas Rock Goddess here on the Rocks, total entertainment, coming to you live from somewhere off the Las Vegas Strip. Today, I'm actually interviewing an amazing band from Facebook, Drab. So I'm going to let them in right now, and we're going to get the party started.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, welcome to On the Rocks Total Entertainment. I've been really looking forward to talking to you guys.
Well, thank you for having me. It's just me tonight. The band is obviously not here.
Obviously, which is totally fine. You can
Yeah,
represent them well, I'm sure.
I will do my best. They left me stranded, so
Okay.
I'll hold it down myself.
All right. So let's do a little backstory. Now, I know a lot about your band. You're from New Orleans, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you have had this band together since 2020?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And you've had a couple EPs out that I've listened to, and I mean, I listen to them, but you know what? Your visual videos really got me in. Um, well done on the videos.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that because we worked really hard on making sure the visual element had as much impact as the music. So I'm glad somebody took notice of that, and I really wanted every video to be completely different. Um, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, and I mean, you're you have your own style, your own flavor. This band, and I think what attracted to me the most was the guitars and vocals. You guys turned up the guitars just right. Your vocals are clear, because I mean, I'm sure you've heard bands where like the bass is overthrowing the vocals. You can't hear, you know what I mean? But you
Oh
guys
yeah.
have a great balance. So let's talk about um like what are you working on? Are you working on new music right now?
Yes. Yeah. We just released a new single called Blacklight and the video for it a couple weeks ago. And we're working on a couple new things too that will be released in the fall.
Okay.
And the next show we have coming up is in New Orleans at DBA with some friends of ours, a great band called Green Gasoline,
Right.
who
I saw
everybody should also check out.
we're gonna go over those tour dates because let me tell you, you guys are cranking it. So
Thank you.
that's great to see that you guys are out there. And I did see the video for back. Excellent. I mean, like I said, you guys have the right balance, and I can hear everything. And that's important because that's going to connect you to your fans.
Definitely. And like you said, we're a very proudly guitar heavy band. As you can see, there's like Marshall stacks
Right.
behind. Like, no, we're a very proudly guitar heavy band, and we like to carry on in the traditions of the bands that we grew up listening to, which were about power guitars and power vocals. And if you're gonna have that in a band, it doesn't really work unless you also have a strong rhythm section. And we have a very strong rhythm section with Aaron Levy on drums and Casey Fridas on bass now. So
Right.
they definitely hold down the groove in the pocket, which, especially since we're from New Orleans, I think one of the things that differentiates us from a lot of modern rock music is in New Orleans, it's all about the groove. And so if you have a rock band that can thrash, but they also have like a deep pocketed groove, then that's what we're going for.
And you know what? Let me tell you that you just nailed it on the head. That's the late, I don't really like to go with trends, but what I'm listening to, that's spot on.
Good.
It's deep, heavy guitars with a groove.
Right.
And that is so important because, we're in 23 now and we're bringing back the 80s and the 90s like hard. And,
Yeah.
they never left. Okay. But You know, when pandemic hit, everybody hit a wall. And I think everybody was reevaluating the way their music sounded.
Yeah.
So in 23, everybody's coming out with guns blazing, which I love.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely love.
definitely the case with us because really Drab started as kind of a side project during the downtime of COVID. And we kind of started jamming in a storage locker in Mandeville, which is north of New Orleans, because there was nowhere else to play. And we're mostly live musicians. You know, we make our living playing music here in New Orleans, and we play in a bunch of different bands. And without any shows, uh, we were kind of starting to get cabin fever a little bit. And we just started jamming together in this kind of dusty storage unit. And with no outside pressure, we just started writing songs that we liked and playing what we wanted to play without any expectation of it going anywhere. But then when we linked up with Jack Mealy, the producer, and we got the album finished, it kind of had legs and started picking up momentum really quickly. And we've been playing quite a few shows since then. So
Yeah, we'll talk about. I want to get back to Jack
yeah.
And his partner, but tell me how you guys came up with the name of your band.
Oh, Drab? Yeah.
Yes.
I think I first thought of it when we were recording. We recorded the album in this old Masonic temple in Mandeville, Louisiana. And it was kind of an eerie setting to record the album, but it also just acoustically sounded really good. And it was a big room that lended itself to the big sound of the album, especially the big drum sound we were going for. And when we were listening back to the premixes, I kept thinking of the temple had like olive drab walls. And I kept thinking of those olive drab walls when I was listening to the premixes, because one of the weird mojo things about recording music is that the environment that you record in, the vibe of it winds up in the recording. Like
Right.
in there when it's recorded, then you know exactly what I'm talking about,
Exactly.
there's something about the acoustics or the sound or the tones or the mood you're in while you're recording that evokes the environment that you recorded in. And that's very true for the album also. But anyway, I kept thinking of these olive drab walls when I was listening to the premixes, and then I thought of the word drab, which I just like. It has a blunt, sort of, simple, blunt sound to it that I like. So it kind of
Yeah.
stuck.
Straight and to the point, man.
Right
Straight
to the
rock and
point.
roll.
Yeah, it's just like a
Yeah,
stamp right on your forehead, Drab. You can't, it's hard to
exactly.
forget too.
That's awesome. But let's talk about your producer, David Toria. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Oh, you mean Jack Mealy?
Yeah, Jack Mealy, and
Yeah.
well, you had David Toria was kind of mixing with him, right?
Yeah, I
In
think
that record.
and Cassie Netherland also was an
Okay.
engineer. And now Blacklight, the most recent single was produced by Jack and mastered by Mayor Applebaum, who's worked with like Judas Priest and a bunch of really awesome metal
Right.
bands.
That's how I'm like, I know this. I know these
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
there's probably a familiarity in the sound too, because
oh yeah,
on so many awesome
totally.
projects.
That's
Yeah.
what really got me was the sound. I'm like, wait a second. I just the tones and the, you know what I mean? The start of the song, I'm like, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jack and I first met like some years ago when there's a pretty popular country band that was based in New Orleans called Chapel Hart, the Chapel Hart Band. And I did the session work on their first album, which Jack produced. And that's how Jack and I met. And then when I had the idea to do this Drab album, he was the first person I had in mind to call, because I knew he would understand exactly what I was going for and how to get it, as far as engineering and the technicalities of recording. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny because I was in Nashville about 4 months ago, and I was interviewing like a ton of artists, and that sound, like I said again, you hit it spot on. That sound is really hot right now in 23. And those bands coming out of New Orleans, coming out of Nashville, you're in the pocket of some of the hottest bands that are coming out of that region right now.
I feel like there's something happening. You know, we can kind of feel the earth moving beneath our feet in a certain direction. And it's been interesting because New Orleans, even though it's like the birthplace of rock music, it doesn't have much local support for a rock scene. Now, there's always been great heavy metal in New Orleans. You know, New Orleans has always had one of the best homegrown heavy metal scenes ever, with bands like I Hate God and Goat Whore and Acid
Yeah.
Band, and all these awesome bands that were based out of here. But as far as more rock music, or I guess we fall kind of in somewhere between hard rock and metal. Not so much, but there seems to be a scene emerging here.
Right.
With us and Green Gasoline and She Might Be a Beast. And
Yeah.
there's a couple other bands that are really killing it too.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've heard a few. Well, you've heard of the saying metalcore,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and then I heard another one, doom thrash.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that term as well, but you know, it's like categorizing what you guys do and what all these bands do. I mean, I threw categories out the window at 23 because you guys are coming in so hard and the music is speaking for itself.
I keep thinking when you said that, I keep thinking of Lemmy, and when Motorhead hit the charts in the 80s, and people kept asking him how he would categorize it. Is it thrash? Is it punk? Is it metal? And Lemmy just said it's rock and roll.
Right.
That's how
Exactly.
he described Motorhead. So
yeah. And
God rest his
that's
soul.
how Lemmy felt the same way I do. You know, 23, like I said, these bands are coming out blazing. And that's great because I think pandemic actually something great came out of it. I think bands kind of, like I said, reevaluated what they were doing. They were, you know, partnering with other bands, creating other music besides what they're doing in their inner circle. So yeah, I mean, you gotta love it, man.
I agree. Like I was saying, I think everybody I know during COVID either put out an album or learned how to cook, or both. You know, like everybody.
Right.
So, across the
Right.
board, a lot of good music came out of that messy situation. So
Yeah, because I mean, I was interviewing bands all through pandemic until that second phase of the pandemic, and I was getting DMs from my bands like, "We just broke up. We just lost our drummer to COVID." I mean, it
wow.
was really raw and real, dude. And
Yeah.
I just decided to cut it and then reboot my show in 22. And you know, here we are. And I've actually interviewed some of those bands that were on pause and they're still at it, which is great. There's been some great backstories for these
Yeah.
bands. And it's important. That's why I wanted to get you on so you can tell your story about your band, because I think people want to hear the realism, because yeah, it really hit everyone.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and it does feel like everything's coming back stronger. And since since releasing the album, Drab is kind of starting to grow on its own in a way. We're kind of
Yeah,
growing in a certain direction. We're just kind of following the music, really. We're just kind of following
right.
our moves and seeing where it leads us. So
Right. And you guys have a great social media presence now. Are you guys on TikTok?
maybe, probably. I don't know. I don't
Well,
really use social media that much. So
okay.
I'm
So
like
that's what
oblivious.
I know, but that's what we're going to talk about a little bit, because your band is so visually stimulating as far as the music. Um, if you guys are not on TikTok, you need to be, because there is TikTok is the hottest platform right now for rock and roll. I'll be honest with you. Um, I do videos and stuff like that. I don't know if you got a chance to look at, because I have a TikTok page. I mean, I'm on all social media, but I have all my live videos there, and there was one particular live video. I kind of tell the story a lot, but it's the truth. I'm not going to say the artist, it's a local artist here in Vegas. And I filmed it and I dropped it within 10 minutes at the venue. And to this day, I have almost 600,000 views of this video. And like I said, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've heard it's definitely the best market as far as social media, or the widest reach. I'm kind of old school with how I do everything, so I'm like behind the curve on a lot of the
I
social media
know.
stuff.
And I
Um,
get that. I really do. But so was I. Okay. Up until when I started rebooting my show and I had hundreds of videos, and I'm like, what am I doing with these? I mean, because Facebook, you can only do so much. Instagram,
right.
they got you like strapped down, they don't really like you posting live stuff or whatever. So when TikTok's been around for a while, but it's taken a turn with the music. And it's really amazing what things are coming out of there. And the bands, I mean, there's so many great bands such as yourself that need to be seen and heard. And it's great because you do communicate with your fans, and that's really important because that's what they want.
You're right, and I'm pretty sure there's got to be some TikTok videos of us already out there, but
I'm sure they
I'm
are.
not familiar with them yet. So
But even if you're jamming, like right now, if you were jamming on your guitar, writing a song, like just hey, I'm writing a song. What's up, TikTokers? And throw it on. Trust me, if you put when you do it in the comments, put for you, and then hashtag rock for you. And let me tell you something, it's gonna explode. You
all
know,
right,
and
well,
yeah, it'll be something
if
for you
we
to
go
think.
viral, then I owe it all to you.
Okay. But you know what? It's just something to think about, throw it out there. But
For
let's
sure.
talk about what your influences are. I know we don't have your bandmates with you, but what are some of your influences musically?
Kind of all over the map. I'd say guitar wise, my favorite band ever is the Allman Brothers. And I kind of grew up listening
Dickie
to,
Betts. I
yeah,
mean,
Dickie
you're a
Betts,
great
Dwayne,
man. Yeah.
all the new guys too. Derek Trucks is phenomenal.
Right.
Haynes, Jack Pearson. I mean, there's been so many like Titan guitar players in their lineup
I
over the years,
know.
you know. So I kind of grew up listening to my dad's vinyls, which were mostly classic rock and blues and that kind of thing. But when I was a kid growing up, we still listened to the radio for the most part. And, we had a classic rock station and a modern rock station. So
Right.
at the same time I was listening to that stuff, I was also listening to Soundgarden, Metallica, Megadeth, the popular heavy music from when I was a kid. And, as I was learning guitar, I just kind of absorbed all of it. And Drab in particular, I think leans heavily on what I like about the popular early 90s bands like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden is that they were heavy, but they also had very good songwriting, good arrangements, good chorus, strong choruses, good vocals, that kind of thing. So I think that's what we're trying to evoke anyway, is heavy music that's also well written and has good musicianship.
Yeah, and you have those melodic tones in there too. Let's
Right.
not forget about that, because that's a definitely an ear catcher for me.
Yeah,
For
like
sure that you're combining.
Alice in Chains was genius at, the song would start with like a dark, heavy riff, and then it would break into like this almost major key chorus with a bunch of vocal harmonies, which is to me amazing. And we kind of
Right.
aspire to get to that level at some point.
Exactly. Hey, let's talk about your gear since you have your guitars right behind you.
Oh yeah, I'll talk gear all night
All
for
right,
sure.
great. So why don't you show us what you love about a
Sure.
guitar?
Well, this is a guitar I've
Gibson.
been playing. Yeah,
Gibson,
this is a
man.
guitar I've been playing the most lately, which
Okay.
it's a Les Paul Standard from 1994, and there's nothing special about it or spectacular. It's just a really solid Les Paul, and it just screams. It's got a really powerful voice to it. So with Drab, I've mostly been playing this guitar live, and all the new material we've been writing is in tuned to D standard. So yeah, this is just a good solid Les Paul in D standard. This is mostly what I've been using. Now, previously, and on the first Drab album, I used this, which is just an SG standard. And kind of a funny story about this guitar is it took a bad spill backstage. We did a show with another great New Orleans metal band called Ox last year, and it took a bad spill backstage and actually snapped.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
like the whole guitar broke. But there's a really great luthier in New Orleans named Ben Strange, and him and his guys were able to fix it for me, and it's as good as new.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
those
crazy,
two
huh?
guitars, yeah, yeah, it's amazing how they do it. Really, they have to use like this bone glue, I think, and they have to just cinch the guitar together and sand it down really good. But yeah, they did a phenomenal job, and it sounds good as new. So those
Yeah.
two guitars are for the Drab stuff, mostly what I use.
Okay.
And obviously, I like Marshalls a lot.
Well,
I
obviously.
and live lately, this is kind of the array I've been using. I have a Marshall Silver Jubilee that I actually got from Brian Quinn from the band Candlebox.
Oh, wow.
Guitar player, great guy. I had another amp that I had built during COVID as like a project amp, and he really loved it. So he traded me his Silver Jubilee for it straight across. So
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
yeah, that's very cool. We're hoping to be able to open for those guys pretty soon. That would be amazing because
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I listened to them when I was a kid growing up, and then got a chance to meet them and hang out with them, and they're just the coolest guys. So, but yeah, either the Jubilee or like an old Marshall JCM 800 is usually what I use on stage. And Jacob, our other guitar player, also mostly in the Marshall Gibson camp.
Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. And you haven't ventured out into any other amps but Marshall then?
Well, I did have for a long time I had like a blues trio,
Okay.
and I was playing a lot of blues, like sort of Texas style blues, maybe some Stevie Ray, Freddie King type stuff. And I did use Fenders for a long time. I've got old Super Reverb and Strat that I used to use quite a bit to play blues. Um, this is my
Oh,
favorite Strat. It's called Mona Lisa, and this is actually natural playware just from playing hundreds
oh,
of
I
shows
believe it.
in Louisiana humidity. And I just wore it down, but it's a good Strat for hammering nails with. And I have this other Strat here that's pretty nice. It's a 69 hardtail Strat. So in the event that I want to play some blues, I'll usually reach for a Strat and a Fender amp.
That's great. Yeah, you got a great collection there.
Yeah, it's mostly stuff that I've kind of accumulated over the years, and this room in the house has kind of turned into my man cave guitar palace or whatever, and it's just it's a lot of times it's more organized than it is now, but there's just kind of stuff stacking up back here.
But it's great because you have all your inspirational tools right there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, if I'm thinking, it's kind of like it's kind of like how a painter has a palette. A
Right.
guitarist if you're thinking of a tone or a mood or a certain kind of sound that you want to write a song with, you reach for that gear to try to get there.
Exactly. Hey, what was the first concert you ever went to?
Oh, geez. The first one that really rocked my socks off, because my dad played in bands when I was a kid too.
Okay.
So I went to a bunch of shows as a kid with him, mostly bands from his era. The first one that really rocked my socks off, though, was I saw Rage Against the Machine at the Palace of Auburn Hills, I think when I was like 15 or 16. And that was like, the first real big rock show that I got to go to. And I think it was at the Drive-In open for them, who was kind of an
Wow.
unknown band at the time.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind to think that this was like 20 years ago or,
Right?
21, 22 years ago.
It's
Um,
crazy. What
but
about
yeah,
what about the first record that you bought with your own money?
the first record,
Yeah, with your own
uh,
money.
oh, this is funny. I bought a cassette tape of Pork Soda by Primus. And the reason I bought it is because I liked the cover. It had like that claymation pig thing on the cover.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I was like 11 and thought it was cool. And I was just starting to get I was just starting to get into heavier music.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this band looks cool. They have a pig thing on their cassette. So I bought the cassette, and I'm pretty sure listening to that album every day on my Sony Walkman, I'm pretty sure it like warped my mind. Like I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it like lost some
Well,
wires.
Primus is one of those bands. I call them underground rock,
Yeah.
because I mean, you really don't talk about Primus, but you like them. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah.
Saying?
And another thing that's amazing to me as time has gone by and looking back on it, another thing that's amazing to me about that era of music and bands like Primus is that I remember when Winona's Big Brown Beaver was like a top 10 Billboard hit. And like, you'd never think that a band that bizarre with songs like that would get that popular. But at that time, there was like a really sweet window of time where like I think mainstream music and mainstream radio was playing some really interesting
Yeah,
music.
because I
Yeah.
think at that point, we had Primus, we had Incubus,
Yeah.
we had, other bands like Suicidal Tendencies was kind of in there a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a really short window, but we heard a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad in a way that I came of age pre-internet. Like I can remember being a teenager before the internet was really a thing, or at least before it was like something that people understood or had in their home.
Right. Remember
And
AOL?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I had to do that. Sorry. It was just,
No, no. But I can remember when we wanted to learn songs, for example, on guitar, me and my buddies would have to call the local radio station, request the song, wait for them to play it, and then tape over try to find a blank tape or tape over something with it on cassette, and then slow down the cassette and try to learn the riffs. And I mean, obviously things are easier now and there's like accelerated learning because you can just go on YouTube and type in
right.
a guitar lesson. But there was something organic about the learning process of that, and kind of like finding your own voice as a musician, um,
Yeah, for
which
sure.
I'm in a way glad I got to experience both. You know, I got to experience both as I grew up as a musician.
Yeah, and I think it's really kind of reflective in what you guys are doing right now.
It is, yeah. I guess even though we're playing modern rock music, we still have kind of an organic sound.
Right.
Uh, our recording process is like as stripped down as you can and old school as you can possibly imagine. Um, and to me, nothing. That just sounds right to me. That's the approach that sounds right to me. That's what viscerally grabs me. Um,
Right, for sure. And I think the whole thing with our viewers that don't know who you are, you're on Spotify,
yeah,
you're on Facebook, because that's how we connected,
yeah,
and you're on Instagram, right?
yeah, and possibly TikTok, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so we'll put a question there by the TikTok. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah,
But let's talk about your live shows coming up before I let you go. Because
yeah,
I want you to come back on the show when you guys are like ready to put the next song out, and maybe we can get some of the other band members involved as well.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got that.
Okay, so let's talk about your like say let's because I know you have a whole list because I've seen them. So why
Yeah.
don't you give us like the next 5 shows? Where are you guys going to be at?
Next one is this coming Thursday at DBA in New Orleans with Green Gasoline. The following night, we're at Santos in New Orleans with a great international touring band called the Dirty Nil. we're looking forward to that one. Outside of New Orleans, we have a tour coming up in September. It's kind of like a mini tour up north where we're going to be hitting Nashville, Chicago, and Wisconsin.
Chicago, my hometown, man. Even though I live in
hang out.
Vegas, I'm from
Come have some
Chicago.
beers.
I know, right? So where
Yeah.
are you guys playing in Chicago?
We're playing at Mom's Place, which is right
Okay.
downtown.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. But that's awesome. So cool that you guys are doing like that mini tour. You guys got to come to Vegas.
We'd love to. Yeah, we're kind of starting from ground up and
Right.
trying to branch out from New
Spread
Orleans, but
yourselves
also
out.
trying
Yeah.
to do it tactically, so we're not just like,
Of course.
we've all done the thing in our 20s where we were kind of like bombing around in a van, like aimlessly playing at small clubs and stuff, and wondering why we weren't getting anywhere.
Right.
So this time around, we're trying to do it, smarter.
Yeah.
But Vegas is definitely on the list, and we'd love to get up there.
Yeah, for sure. Because Vegas is such a strong rock and roll community right now. We've got some amazing music coming out of here.
Actually, we recently played with Hemlock, who I understand is from Vegas.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've been around for some time.
Oh, yeah.
They were awesome. They were really fun to play with and really cool guys too.
Yeah, I mean, we have some amazing bands here, and you guys would fit right in, which is absolutely. Now, are you guys on Bandcamp or anything like that as well?
We do have a band camp, yeah, and that's actually still the best place to get our merch. If anybody wants to pick up a T-shirt or order a vinyl or something like that, then yeah, our Bandcamp page is probably the best platform to do that from.
Okay, would that be Drab at bandcamp.com?
Yeah, it's drab number one .bandcamp.com.
Okay, perfect. So that way, my viewers can actually get some, because you have some cool like logo. Now, who drove that up?
I have to take responsibility for most of the visual stuff, even the stuff that isn't that good. So
no, but it's really cool. I love the symbol that you came up with for the band, the logo. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and the Huntress T-shirt was designed by an Italian artist that I became familiar with online, and I was able to purchase the licensing for one of his images. So that's the first T-shirt, and he actually just did another one for us that we're gonna release soon. So keep an eye on the Bandcamp page for that.
Oh yeah, for sure, because your merch is gonna get you dollars as well.
Yeah, that's really, especially for touring bands, that's the best and sometimes only way you make money.
Exactly. But it was great meeting you, great talking to you. I could talk to you for probably hours about rock and roll, and it was super fun. So let's keep in touch.
For sure.
Tell everybody I said hi, and in the next few months here, let's maybe regroup and get the band on.
Absolutely. I'd love that. And thanks for reaching out, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and we will see you soon on the road. Yeah, because people need to see your band live. Because like I said, I loved your music that I heard it, but live is where you guys thrive.
That's right.
So we'll look forward to seeing you on the road, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Well, the best place to check out the tour schedule for anybody that's listening is drabnola.com, DRABNOLA.com. So check it out.
Perfect. And you have all your tour dates there.
That's right.
You have a lot. So keep busy, keep rocking, keep rock alive, man.
Thank you very much.
Hey, we'll talk soon.
Right on.
Okay. Thank you. Wow. What a great band, Drab. This band is really hitting it hard with the dates in New Orleans, Nashville. They're going on a small tour. They're going to hit Wisconsin as well as Chicago, my hometown. So if you want to hear any more about Drab, definitely go to Spotify.com. And as he said, it's going to be Bandcamp Drab 1 at Bandcamp.com. So great band. We're going to revisit them. We're going to do a follow-up interview with them. in the next few months, and they're killing it out there. This is a great band to watch in 23. This is the Vegas rock goddess, Carol Nevin. Thanks for watching. Always like and subscribe to On the Rocks Total Entertainment. Lots of great interviews coming, so you never know who's going to be on. And I look forward to talking to a lot more artists. So till next time.